Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 19.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
Well, hello there. Welcome. Glad that you're back one more time. I am excited because many of you may have already noticed, but if you haven't, go over to learninvestingnow.com. Not only now are we teaching you how to be able to buy and sell real estate using none of your own money and credit with an ebook. It's an entire e-course. When it's all said and done, you should receive about 30 different emails that are going to walk you through the process step by step of what you need to do, how you need to think, and what you need to say to get stuff done. I did, a number, it's hours upon hours of video, and it's all free, guys. Go for it. Anyway, learn investing now. Place your email in the box. Start receiving your ebook and course immediately. I'm excited about that. Don't know if you knew about that, but now you do. Anyway, and for those of you listening for the first time, welcome to the Cashflow Diary podcast. Listen to episode 1 if you want to understand a little bit more about the background, who I am, etc., if you care about that type of thing. And as a request for the thousands of you that we can tell that are listening, it would be very, very nice if any of you, all of you actually, would go and leave a positive comment about the show in iTunes, simply because we want to be able to be found by more and more people. If you have heard anything from me that has been encouraging or that has helped you in some way, shape, or form, feel free to please go over to iTunes, comment about it, let other people know that we're here, because it helps us in the rankings to be found. All right. So today we're going to talk about how do I get investors to believe in me and want to invest? I know that's a very common question that I get at live events, and I get from, people all across the world, honestly, in many different forms and fashions. And I want to see if I can address some of those things today to do our best to help you be equipped mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever, to go out there and get some business done. Before we go there, we're going to have our cash flow quote. And it simply comes to us from an individual you may have actually heard of before, which is good. It's try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. And that comes to us from Mr. Albert Einstein. If you don't know who he is, he's a German-born theoretical physicist who developed the general theory of relativity. So really, really, really smart guy. If you ever seen the equation E equals mc squared, it's been dubbed the world's most famous equation, even though most people can't remember what E equals mc squared is actually for. Even if you did take it in school, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it is... Just know that what's important is to become a man of value or a woman of value. Okay, ladies, I know you're out there too. We get your emails. And I just wanted to say that the key here is to understand that value is where it's at. The key is to understand, what is of value. And in fact, it leads into a lot of what it is that we're going to talk about today. Well, you may have also noticed that we are coming up on episode 20. Episode 20 is the 10-episode mark where we begin to answer your questions. We have received some. Love to receive some more questions because those questions are what we're going to answer all next episode. If you have a question regarding real estate or business, send it in to questions@cashflowdiary.com. Again, that's questions with an S at cashflowdiary.com. Okay, so let's jump right into it. When it comes down to, quote unquote, getting investors to believe in you and wanting to invest, One of the fundamental things that I think, sidetracks a number of people is that you start talking immediately about the property and the project or the deal or whatever it is that you want to call it. And for some reason, um, the general consensus is that's like the most important thing and what you must begin doing first. Well, first and foremost, one of the things that I have learned is that at the end of the day, even though uh, you are raising capital or using other people's money, whatever you want to call it, it's still a sale. Okay, you're still selling something. And what I've learned is that most people don't know what they're selling. They think they're selling a deal, and that's not the entire truth. That's actually the one of the most interchangeable parts, and sometimes even the least important piece. So there are some basic fundamental rules that you must remember to follow in this case. So one of them is that you can't force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I can't force them. I don't have any magic, and neither do you. And it's wrong to try to do so. So just the thinking of how do I get investors to believe in you? You don't get them because a wise man once said, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." You and I can't convince people. We can influence them. We can give them reasons that we think they should. But at the end of the day, it has to be their decision. So understand this. You can't force it. So don't be thinking, because I know one of the things that hurt me for a long time in this business or in sales or in entrepreneurship in general was thinking I had to come up with the magic words to say in order to get people to buy or do whatever it is that I needed them to do so that I could eat, right? Because, a salesperson, if you don't sell, you don't eat. That's kind of the whole adage, right? And the truth of the matter is, it's so little about what to say and so much more about what to ask. Because we're going to get to the next piece here. Each person purchases for their own reasons. Each person purchases for their own reasons. See, what it comes down to is you and I, when we buy something, we buy it for our own reasons. Now, some of those reasons may have been given to us by the person, quote unquote, selling it, but that doesn't mean they convinced us. It does mean that we agreed with some of the reasons that they suggested we purchase. Okay. Now, when you are out there looking for people and investors and partners and lenders and all this other stuff, your job, now that you are the entrepreneur, is to uncover why you, and why now. And here's what I mean. When you're out there, you've got to uncover from your potential or prospective investor, why on earth would they want to invest in general? Like, what is it that they like about investing? What are they seeking? What are they hoping that real estate will do for them? That's one of my favorite questions to ask is, what are you hoping is the eventual outcome from this? Here's another way of asking that question. If we were having this conversation 12 months from today, what would you like to be able to say has happened between now and then? I love that because it helps to uncover why people are willing to do what it is that needs to be done to make these things work. And you say, well, my deal's longer than 12 months. Okay, that's fine. Then put in, however long the deal is, why, 5 years from today, 50 years from today, it doesn't really matter. The point is, ask the question. And then you also want to find out why why on earth? I mean, let's be real. They have options. Everybody has options. That's one of the greatest things about a free market, right? Is options. So you want to know why on earth do they want to deal with you? Why would they? And you should know why they should want to, but you need to know why they agree and why they are willing to deal with you. That's one of the fundamental things, because I think what happens is that we get afraid or concerned that we're going to say, or they're going to say no, and we don't want to hear the word no. So we spend all this time trying to trick them to say yes. When the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, everyone wants to say yes, but they're more willing, or they would rather say no when they're afraid. And when you begin asking questions and making sure that they're solid on why it lessens their fear and gives them the freedom to say yes. And that's honestly what I think a lot of people want. You must also uncover, as I said, why now? Because there's a reason, and you need to understand what that reason is. Here's what I mean by that. Sometimes when you're working with a potential investor, you have the challenge that they've been considering real estate for a long time, and that's the challenge. Considering they haven't taken action. You need to know why now. I've sat and with people of all kinds, of all different, socioeconomic classes, all kinds of different various capacities in terms of funds, etc. And I'm always going to ask, why now? If you have you got $250,000 right now, how long have you had it? And why are you willing to use it now? I mean, what's changed? You've had it sitting in this, certificate of deposit for 5 years. Well, why change that? That seems to have been working for you, And I know that question may seem like it's obvious to you, and it may be, but you need to know what their reason is. Never assume. Assuming is so dangerous. It's what you think you know that kills the deal. You need to understand why they are willing to do what it is that you know that they need to do in order to be a part of your transaction. Okay? Here's the next piece. Understand that when you are talking to an investor of any kind, it's an exchange of value. It's an exchange of value. As I was alluding to in the cash flow quote earlier, it's an exchange of value. You must remember this. Give more in use value than you take in cash value. I'll say that again. Give more in use value than you take in cash value. So that presupposes that you understand what your value in the equation is. I mean, you're saying, well, I'm not bringing any value. I'm just trying to get the deal done. That's not true. See, cash, currency, money, whatever term you want to use, is just one tool necessary in the chain of value. It's only one tool, and it's the most readily available tool. All right. And it is your job to position yourself, your company, in such a way as such that you're not a commodity, because this is typically what happens is the new investor forgets or doesn't know that they're not a commodity, and then they start trying to pitch a deal on things like, well, this return on investment is higher, so therefore you got to have this one. And that's so not the case. There are so many other things that are of value than just, ROI. Now, I'm not saying ROI isn't important and can be totally ignored. I'm saying that there are other things that are more important than the return on investment. And your deal may have better numbers, but there are other reasons why someone's choosing not to invest with you. And understand that cash is just one tool that is necessary. Some of the other pieces of the chain of value in this case is, and by far the biggest, in my opinion, is your team. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But one of the things is to understand that, well, how do I say this? It's really not all about you anyway. But I digress. We're gonna pick up that piece here again and talk some more about that. But what is also part of the exchange of value is understanding that their funds could be doing other things. So what does that mean? That means they could choose to do an annuity. They could choose to do life insurance. They could choose to do stocks and bonds, etc. So, but you're giving more in use value than you take in cash value. Some of the things that you bring to the table that those other asset classes don't is an element of control. So don't neglect that. Just don't neglect that, because there is a significant value to being in control or having more control or being closer to the control mechanisms when it comes to your cash and what it is that it's doing. So that's one of the big pieces. Here's the next reason that I think if you begin to understand this concept, it will help you tremendously. Here it is. It's what I call investor identity, because I mean, some people call it investment philosophy, investor profile, buying profile. All I've heard all kinds of terms growing up in the business, and I call it investor identity. I call it that for a specific reason because one of the forces that our bodies, our minds, fight to maintain is consistency with our identity. I mean, you could take, a person who is used to an impoverished circumstance, and if so long as they are always identifying themselves with being someone impoverished, even if you change their surroundings, they're still going to do and sabotage whatever is around them to be impoverished. And vice versa. You could take someone who's always used to affluence, I should say, always used to succeeding, always used to these types of things, and you put them in a situation where there are adverse conditions, and they're still more likely to cling to that identity and create around them a new situation that is successful, et cetera, et cetera. So this same thing must exist everywhere we go. So you listening to my voice right now, you have an identity. You identify in a certain way. There are certain types of real estate and investments that attract you for totally emotional reasons. And that's okay. You're not making a solely emotional decision, but some of the things that you need to be considering are things like time horizon, meaning when will you need the actual benefit, cash benefit in this particular case, from the investment. There's going to come a time at some point in the future when you need it. You need to understand when that is. And more importantly, you need to understand when that is for the person or persons that you're also talking to. Some people have an immediate need, like right now today. Some people say, I don't plan on withdrawing, any money or using this for 10, 15, 20 years. That's my goal. That changes the types of deal that you could be doing or should be talking to them about. Next is financial target. Some people need money today, as I've said before, but that means they're primarily looking to influence their profit and loss statement. They're not overly concerned about their balance sheet at this moment. Why is that important? It's because if you are selling a deal and trying to raise capital for a long-term project that's going to affect the balance sheet more than it affects the profit and loss statement, that could be the reason. It doesn't mean the deal's bad, doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're not hitting their financial target, but you have to uncover these things to understand. Another one that's very popular for me is social motivation. I tend to work in the affordable housing space a lot, and affordable is relative, right? You could technically call a $500,000 house affordable because what we do as the landlord is we make it affordable for the renter so that they don't have to come up with $500,000 to live there. They only need $2,000 or $3,000 a month, depending on your neighborhood. But when I say social motivation, I'm more talking about the traditional sense of the word affordable, as in lower income, and that has a lot to do with it. Sometimes that could also be part of the reason why your investors would want to work with you. But you need to make sure that your deal, that the marketplace, that everything is set up in place to match that. You must be someone who is so motivated in that way. Maybe there's a social cause that's on your heart. You're like, I just wish people would do this. You, with that thought, are the one who's supposed to be doing it, by the way. And maybe your real estate play is to go get a building that can do that, and you run the building while someone else runs the business. A friend of mine, Josh and Lisa Lannon, have perfected this in their Rich Dad Advisors. I don't know if you've picked up their book, The Social Capitalists, but they have perfected this very, very concept and even written about it. So definitely something you probably want to go check out. Another thing to consider with the investor identity is things like legacy conditions. For example, sometimes a deal is good for someone because it satisfies the needs of their estate plan, their inheritance, or if they're trying to plan for their passing, This is very, very prevalent when, and here's a key also that helps you with negotiating. The individuals that I prefer to deal with are those who have a significantly sized portfolio, have been and landlords for a long time, but for whatever reason now they want to retire, whatever that means to them. Most of the time, that means they still need a passive income and have a really, really heavy tax burden. But one of the unique things about real estate that I love is the fact that when you use seller financing, you create a situation where they don't have to manage as much and they still can receive passive income. But more importantly, it is easier for their heirs to inherit a note than it is to inherit a property. It's less stressful because they have less moving pieces to the note. And I've found great success in looking for the individuals who are looking to do that and being able to acquire their assets because we love to make those payments. Again, many of you know I'd rather deal with people than a bank, and legacy conditions can be very, very key. So you need to know that. All of these things come down to the following question: whom do you want to serve, and are you the best woman or man for the job? And as you continue to think about that and your investor identity, the more that that matches the deal and what it is that you're looking to do, and the more that that matches the marketplace and your team, the more that that matches the person you're talking to, those other things become very, very real reasons why they will want to invest with you. Another thing that I find to be very, very prevalent is a lack of asking for referrals. And I think this communicates a lack of confidence when you don't ask. It's a lack of confidence in your own service of what it is that you're providing. So here's a script that I submit for your acceptance, and use it as you'd like to go out there and continually ask for referrals, because I use it all the time. So I'm going to pretend that Jane is who I'm talking to. Jane's the one with the money, and she's about to invest or considering investing. Even in our first sit down, it's never too early to ask for a referral. Never too early. So I would say something to the effect of, hey, Jane, one of the things that we love to do is we love to make sure that we take care of every dollar that's entrusted to us. And one of the ways that we do that is making sure that we pay 100% attention to the deal and deals that we're working, no matter where they are, no matter the location. And I keep my team and myself focused on those things. Your part in helping us stay focused on taking care of your money is to do the following. What we are asking for is that at some point over the course of us doing business, that you introduce us to at least 5 more individuals like yourself. Because if we're out there marketing and spending all of our time doing those things, we're not as able to take care of your funds, et cetera, et cetera. And we want to spend as much time as we possibly can making sure that what we focus on is taking care of you and your needs, as opposed to always looking for, new speaking engagements or classes to teach and things of that nature. Is that okay? And most of the time, they're agreeable, by the way, guys, to that particular exchange. And, simply because we've asked, we get them. And when I feel like quality is slipping, we'll bring on a new person so that we can maintain our end of that bargain as well. So that doesn't mean that's the only way we generate leads, but it is another way. It is a faster way. It is really good, especially when you're asking for introductions to 5 more individuals like yourself. Because if they're already considering doing business with you, and you've heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together, this works very, very well. All right. I've got about 5 more tips here. But before we do, we're going to go over the cash flow question. So remember, we are giving away an autographed copy of my upcoming book. It's my cash flow creation system, how to create wealth in any economy. And it's just 10 steps, and we will definitely go through that entire process inside that book. It's expected to be about 300 pages-ish, and I'm looking very, very excited about that. So, if you want to have an opportunity to win the book, what you've got to do is you've got to send in an email to cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com. That again, that's cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com. Send in the correct answer to the question, and you make sure when you email us, you've got to give us an address of where to send the book. Otherwise, it gets very, very tough to put it through email. Anyway, here's last week's question. It was, in your written contract, what is the more formal name for escape clauses? In your written contract, what is the more formal name of escape clauses? Now, interestingly enough, we did not get a correct answer, but we did get an answer that was close. The answer that we got that was close was inspection clauses. The words that we were actually looking for were contingency clauses, and inspection clause is yet one type of a contingency clause. However, what we're going to do anyways, because since you got close, Sabrina, the book is coming to you anyway. So this week's question is, what is the name of the legal entity that is most often used by small business owners to control self-employment taxes? What is the name of the legal entity that is most often used by small business owners to control self-employment taxes? Again, email your answers into cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com. And don't forget to include your address so we can send you the book. And yes, please get the answer right. All right, let's get back to our main topic today. We're talking about how to get investors to believe in you and want to invest. Here are 5 more things that I want you to think about. First, remember, because it's a sale, because that's what we were talking about before. Yes, it's a sale, but because it's a sale, you must remember that integrity is everything. Meaning, do you walk the walk, talk the talk, and look the part? If you haven't done it before, if you've never done what it is that you're attempting to do, tell them it's okay. Don't be afraid of that. They're going to sense that fear and think it's something else. So you might as well tell them. So maintain your integrity. Let them know. Don't be afraid to say, hey, this is my first deal, because I was alluding to this earlier. It's not about you anyway. Making it about you guarantees that you won't succeed, in my opinion. That's the issue, is that I think it's a very core issue. I think a lot of us, when we're first starting, we're just hoping we can get the deal and get someone to believe in me. And it's not just about me. It's about the entire team. It's about everything that's working with and behind me. I love to let people know that I am the dumbest person on the team. Now, that doesn't mean I consider myself stupid in any way, shape, or form. I'm just the least knowledgeable. And if you consider me knowledgeable, then you can only imagine how knowledgeable my entire team is, from the CFO, the VP of operations, the tax people, everybody, property managers, contractors, etc. That's what makes us great. And that's what you want to communicate. You want to communicate that your team is there and what their experience is. And you want to have a system in place. So this is the next piece. You want to have a system and plan in place. You got to know the path you're taking your customer down and tell them. It'll relax their nerves. It's like if you went to the dentist and they didn't talk to you and they just shoved you in the chair, and then all of a sudden that drill came on and you didn't know what they were doing, you would freak out. Okay? You would freak out. But that's not how they do it. They sit you down, they talk to you, they tell you what's going to happen, and then they give you that lie. This is going to hurt a little bit, or you feel a slight pinch. Anyway, and they let you know what's about to happen to you, and it relaxes you. You've got to do the same thing. Next thing is you want to do what I call carefrontation. Carefrontation, not confrontation. You want to carefrontation. You want to carefront all of their concerns and possible concerns. If you're feeling uncomfortable for some reason, say it. If you think that they're feeling or thinking something that's going to kill the deal, say it. It's going to come back to get you anyway. You might as well say it now. Here, no, now. Because remember, it's ultimately your customer's problem that you are solving. They're not solving your problem, you're solving theirs. Could you imagine if you walked in Yeah, or let me see. Let me put it this way. If you owned a fast food restaurant where you serve hundreds and hundreds of people a day, okay? Now, we're not going over the merits of fast food and all this other stuff, okay? Because I know some of you listening, you really like healthy food. That's fine. But just go with the example for a second. Imagine you own this quick serve fast food restaurant, and a customer walks through the door, stands in line, gets up to the cashier, looks at the menu, and then changes their mind and leaves. But are you going to go chase them? Is it that big of a deal to you? No, because you know that there's another customer right behind that one. This is very, very true for your real estate investing as well. There's no need to chase them because that person who walked out the door is probably still hungry. But you're not going to chase them down with your Big Mac and say, "Here, please eat my Big Mac now." Then don't do that. Okay. Next, under promise, over deliver. Always do what you say you're going to do. I'm going to call you back. You better call them back. Be careful of the words and phrases that we use flippantly because they destroy trust. Here's a very simple example. Oftentimes, when you're passing someone on the street and you say, "Hi," but many of us follow it up with, "How are you?" But you keep walking. You don't stop to hear the answer because you didn't care. Do not ask questions that you don't want to hear the answer to, or that you, not necessarily that you don't want to hear the answer to, but that you won't make time to stop and listen to. Okay, always ask questions that you're afraid of asking all the time. Those are good. But what I'm also saying is under promise, over deliver. Okay, make sure, like if you say, one of the things I often do with my deals is I'll quote a 20% vacancy on purpose. Now, we're not shooting for a 20% vacancy. Okay. However, if you like the numbers at 20%, I think you're going to like them at, more than that. That's the idea. Under promise, over deliver. And then also remember this. It's not going to go as planned, and that's okay. Let them know you're going to stick in there and figure it out. That's especially true when you're new, because you can say things like, "Look, this is my first time doing this, or it's the first time we've worked with this particular group in this particular state. This is what I know. I know that there are going to be things to happen that I'm not sure what they are going to be, but that's what I do. I get to stand in the gap between what happens and your cash to make sure that what we do together is we figure it out." Okay. And that happens more often than not. Now, here's the good thing. You're going to gain lots of experience. You're going to gain lots of wisdom, but most importantly, you become a safer bet so long as you're willing to make those, so long as you're willing to do exactly that. So in closing today, remember this. Your expertise and the capabilities of your team is what you are selling in the marketplace. Your expertise and theirs was earned by mistakes, errors, and failure events. And being willing to experience those things and learn how to recover from them is a large part of what makes you and your team so valuable. Until next time.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cash Flow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, cashflowdiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cash Flow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.